on this one last year. We built it carefully using different methods this time, bringing a number of technologies, operating systems, and great knowledge into play. Our chairman, Mr. Katimbo, grew very impatient with us at one point. When are we going public with this thing? And sir, here we are. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if 15 million people, just 15 million people in Uganda, each invested 20,000 shillings per week in treasury securities, the government would raise more than 1.2 billion in a month. More than 1.2 trillion in a month. Okay? Just because we can now reach every corner of the country, I think we can now ask everybody to put their best foot forward and invest 20,000 shillings a week. So Zaabu is not just good for us as a business, it is good for the government. In addition to making our service that we will not charge government too much. Mr. Deputy But there were times when we thought that might not be possible. We had 2 years when we lived in absolute hell, and our business was held back by certain unfair regulatory actions. And as a young business, we ended up burning a lot of capital trying to build a business against the power of a regulator. But we overcame that when we went to court, and the court decided in our favor. And so we are now settled, trying to do what we promised for Ugandans and for our. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Kenya has 2.5 million investors in the capital markets. Tanzania has 300,000, and so does Rwanda. Our market has not more than 50,000, although we have a bigger population than some of those countries. But when there are issues in these markets, we see that the regulator's approach is to talk, discuss, articulate, and agree, based upon well-established principles. But you will recall, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in 2016, Parliament passed amendments to the Capital Markets Act containing certain which we found a bit objectionable. We have made the objections known to the regulator and to the Ministry of Finance, but we are not sure when they plan to come back to you to seek amendments. However, what's happening right now is that certain regulations are now being written, some of them based on the objectionable provisions of the Capital Markets Act. And I want to go in a bit of detail on some of those, on what impact-wise, what they're doing. So the regulator has insisted on some of these provisions since 2018, despite, first, there not being a comparable practice anywhere in the world. 2, the amendments going against the guidance from the International Organization of Regulators. 3, themselves being contrary to other provisions in the law. And 4, the amendments causing conflict with us, the regulated parties. And 5, despite the clear damage they threaten to impose on the operators in the sector. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're standing on principle in rebuking these proposals. But we've talked for 4 years, and the regulations, the draft regulations keep coming back with some of these things. We don't want to keep going against the regulator, lest somebody might label us a saboteur. But we have thought maybe we should just keep quiet and let the regulations come, and so that everybody can see the damage that they are able to do to the operators in the market. But then again, why would you want to bring regulations that will damage a company that brings you Zaabu on a day like this? The company that brings Zaabu to your phone and to your market. So we're in a state of a bit of confusion, but we'd like you to help. If we can avoid these objectionable provisions in the law and in the regulations, we promise you that we shall continue to harness local talent and create more Zaabus in the Uganda market. So now I want to turn to the people, to appreciate the people who brought Zaabu to life. I will start with some quotes to give you a context of what our software engineers, cybersecurity and networking engineering people have achieved. There's one guy whose name I failed to find. He's quoted as having said, "Impossible is just a big word thrown about by us small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." So that's the first person. The other person I want to quote, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was an American president in 1910 when he said these words. And he said, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who at the best knows, in the end, the triumph of higher achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat." That president was Theodore Roosevelt, and he said this in 1910. So I gave those quotes so that we could give a big thank you to the IT people who have brought Zaabu to life. So we have IT teams here in Uganda, in Zimbabwe, in England, and in Germany. The teams in Uganda include the guys at Mtn. Everywhere you go, they say Mtn. Includes the guys at Buri Africa. Are you here? Buri Africa, right there. And the guys at Altx, they're all over the place. Some of them at the back. Yeah. Those guys said to us, "Impossible is nothing." And they proved it. So give them. Thank you guys, and thank you so much. The teams include GMX Technologies in the UK. GMX Technologies is a partner in our group company, the shareholders in our group company. Escrow Systems in Harare. Those are strategic partners based in Zimbabwe. And Hetzner in Germany, also a strategic partner. Without these guys, there is no way we could have done what we have done. No chance. So give them a big thank you as well. Honorable Deputy Speaker, to end my remarks, I wish to introduce some people. First one is Mr. Edward Katimbo Mugwanya. Chairman of Altx East Africa, and I will ask him to introduce his board when he comes up. Second is Mr. Grace Musoke-Lwanga, Chairman of Altx Clearing. He will also introduce his board when he comes up. Mr. Jatin Jivram, Executive Director of Altx and co-founder and the partner. He says I'm a partner in crime. So a partner in this business. Mr. Calvin Simon Waivare. That's a special category there. Calvin Simon is a shareholder in the Altx Africa Group, which is a group company that owns these two companies. Mrs. Nina Dafu, yes, also a shareholder in the group company. Mr. Raymond Kafambe, is he here? Yes. Also a shareholder in our group. Mr. Brian Kasita from Altx Clearing, right at the back. Jonathan Motumba from Altx Clearing, is he here? Yeah. Mr. Philip Kawere, East Africa. Ms. Francesca Nagami from Altx Clearing. Yes. Ms. Patricia Aruo, Altx East Africa. Ms. Mudoni Karubio, is he here? Altx East Africa. Ms. Desire Belinda, Altx Clearing, is she here? She's right at the back. Ms. Juliana Kitamirike, also from Altx East Africa. I thank you, Deputy Speaker, for making the time to come and join us this morning. Thank you very much.
Can we please give a warm clap to Mr. Joseph Kitamirike for that very enlightening presentation. Our dear guests, we are kind of short of time, so we have asked our speakers to be brief, but let me first apologize for not recognizing dignitaries here. I'll try to do that quickly. The CEO of Mtn, Mr. Wim Vaneleput, could not be with us, and his representative here is Ms. Mary Ayesiga. She could stand up for recognition. Mary, thank you very much for coming. We are also blessed with the presence of the Prime Minister of Uganda, Busoga, I beg your pardon, Kingdom of Busoga, Mr. Osman Ahmed Noor. You will forgive me for misnaming the kingdom. I'm from Bunyoro, so those are our grandchildren. I can say anything I want to them. The CEO of Smart TV, Ms. Allen Kabindi, can you please stand up and wave to your people? And among others who will be presenting, we have members of Parliament, but we also have one who is here with us, who is the Vice Chairman of the ICT Committee in Parliament, Honorable Nathan Nabeta. Can you please stand up for a comment? So I've asked all speakers to give us 2 or 3 minutes from their allocated time. It's now my privilege and honor to invite Mr. Grace Musoke, Chairman of Altx Clearing Limited. Mr. Musoke, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, MC, our chief guest, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, honorable members of Parliament present, the shareholders of the Altx Africa Group and its various subsidiaries, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm cutting short my long speech by sharing on just 1 or 2 important issues. Our chief guest, Altx Clearing was launched in 2016, but we did not start trading in securities until 2019. I'm glad to say that with our operations in Uganda and Kenya, we started off with a lowly $20 billion in business. This rapidly grew to 145 billion Uganda shillings in 2019, and last year it rose to 445 billion. We are hoping to keep that growth trajectory and grow it exponentially, especially following the launch of Zaabu and the many other creative securities products that we'll be developing. The launch of Zaabu is a landmark event that we expect to lead to a new definition and direction of Altx, clearing, and the group as a whole. To grow Uganda's financial sector. It will require us to trade in more markets and to increase our traded volumes substantially. With the support of you, the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker, that is Parliament and government and other stakeholders, we know that we shall grow our business and provide the necessary support needed for our economy to grow. We welcome you all and thank you very much for having spare time to be with us here on this very important occasion. I thank you very much.
Chairman, yes?
I beg your pardon. I was doing a one-man show. Allow me, the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker. The Altx Clearing Board comprises 6 distinguished members. We have Ms. Sarah Walusimbi Chibuka, a very important person with a very sharp eye and attention to detail, especially in matters of finance. We have Mr. Hiranda Mejra, who is not here with us. We also have Mr. Richard Wood, who is based in London. He comes and goes. Of course, with technology, we are able to hold our meetings without any physical presence here. We have Mr. Justin Visram, who has been introduced already, and our CEO, Mr. Joseph Chitamirike. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and for having donated time. As I said, our guest of honor has to leave in 10 or so minutes, so we are kindly asking you to donate more and more. We continue to hear speeches, and we invite Mr. Edward Katimbo Mugwanya, Chairman of Altx East Africa, to share with us an abridged version of his very interesting speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll cut out the protocol because that has been said quite a number of times in order to save time. My name is Katimbo Mugwanya, and I am the chairman of Altx East Africa. Today we celebrate a very good day, and this is the launch of Zaabu. Now, what does Zaabu mean to the public? Zaabu means availability. Zaabu means accessibility. Availability of what? The stocks are there, so they will be available to the public. It means accessibility. So everybody standing wherever they are in all corners of Uganda will be able to access the stock exchange. What does Zaabu means? It also means affordability. Instead of going to buy 200 million worth of treasury bills or stock, you can buy for as little as shillings 15,000. Now, the biggest problem that has stopped growth is that our stocks have been concentrated for the rich up there. Now, we are coming down not only to the mezzanine, we're coming down to the bottom of the pyramid. Everyone can afford every month to save 15,000 shillings. So that is what Zaabu means to the public. What is Zaabu? Zaabu is therefore a game changer, right? Why is it a game changer? You only need to dial *292# and you are in the stock exchange. If you are in West Nile, it's the same number. If you are in Sese Islands, it is the same number. If you are in Kenya, it is the same number. So it is available to you. Sorry, it's accessible to you all the time. 24/7, right? So, guest speaker. Altx East Africa was launched in 2016. Now, why are we just coming up with these products such a long time? Why has it taken us so long to come up with these products? The CEO has told you how we have been both legs tied, both hands tied, kandoya. Now, when you tie these people who are innovators, then nothing happens. The court case helped us to free ourselves. Now, the duty of a regulator, I have been a regulator myself because I was one time head of bank supervision in Bank of Uganda. The regulator's business is twofold. Give ruksa. Ruksa is a Swahili word, which means permission. The second duty of a regulator is safeguard the public. After that, the regulator has no business, because the business is with the market people. The business is with the practitioners. The banks can bring in their products as they like, as long as you protect the public. That's your duty as a regulator. When you start involving yourselves in intricate details in the product, then you are not doing your job. So this has held us back, and we're glad the court case freed us. And because it's freed us, this means a whole lot of things for the public. They can now be able to access securities. They can access treasury bills. You don't have to go to the bank to open a CDS account for you. Just dial *292# and you get your treasury bills, right? Time is short, so I will stop there, because I think that's the strength of our day-to-day. Being able to introduce our disruptive investment. This is a technical word. What is a disruptive investment? A disruptive investment has those three bits. It changes the whole business outlook, because it changes the status quo and brings it down to everybody. Now, government, guest of honor, you represent here the legislative arm, but government main wish is to have the public invest, to have the public save. Because when the public saves, there are available resources for government to use. Now, if you don't enable the public to save, then there are no resources available for the government to use. Now, this product will enable the public to save, because it gives the three disruptive investment criteria, i.e. accessibility, affordability, and availability. It's affordable, 15,000. It's accessible, *292, so accessible, and it's available. The stocks have been there. We're not creating them. They've always been there. Now, Mr. Minister, I'll stop there for the benefit of time, but before I finish, I would like to introduce the people who help the CEO to undertake the business of Altx East Africa, the board members. I'll start with ladies first. The first one is Mrs. Rose Luwama. Stand up for recognition, please. The next one is Mr. Joseph Erebo. And the third one, I wonder whether he's here, is Mr. Hindra Misra. He's resident in the UK and unfortunately is not available to us. Maybe he will see us on the internet. Mr. Justin Visram, as he was, the chief executive, the executive director, and also executive for, where is Mr. Yes, please stand up for recognition. And of course, the last board member is the CEO, Mr. Joseph Chitabereke. And let me take this opportunity on behalf of the board, Mr. Guest Speaker, to thank you for having been able to spare us time for us to be with us today. And thank you very much. And thank you, gentlemen.
A big round of applause for Mr. Katimbo Mugwanya. His passion is evident. You can see, I can imagine what Joseph was going through meetings every day, every month. Where is this accessibility talking about? Now, it's not my pleasure to invite somebody I forgot to recognize. My apologies, Honorable Kefa Chwanuka is the chairman of the Committee on Finance, Planning and Economic Development in the Parliament of Uganda. Can you please give him a round of applause as he addresses us and invites the guest of honor to give his remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. MC. Right Honorable Thomas Taibwa, Deputy Speaker of Parliament, colleagues, honorable members of Parliament, Chairman, Board and Management, Altx East Africa, and Chairman, Board and Management, Altx Clearing Limited, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be a witness to the launch of Zaabu. Congratulations all of you, the board, the management, and all collaborators who have brought Zaabu to its operational state. Congratulations indeed. As many of you know, our job in Parliament is to make laws, to appropriate funds to government and hold government accountable. And probably with what you were talking about earlier, it's coming as a surprise to me as chair of the committee. There are many ways that can be addressed, either by petition or by your coming to the committee. So it came as a surprise that you've been having those challenges. We thank you, however, for inviting us because we now understand that you know that we belong here. We are part of you. And sometimes we are blamed for all sorts of things. Now we are being blamed for the rising prices. But we are part. We can only speak out about what is happening. We know you need good laws to operate your companies. Government needs services like yours to raise the kind of money it needs to deliver services. And we, by coming here, also take stock of the regulatory framework that governs up and look to find ways to improve it with absolute commitment to that. We also took note of the reported performance and the promise their company holds out to Uganda in terms of capital raising and investment. It will be our pleasure to host the company in our committee to assist us to develop our understanding even further. The better we understand these issues, the more we can facilitate improvement when the laws come to us for consideration and passage. In the interest of time, you've asked me to come here and introduce my boss, and it's now my singular pleasure to introduce him. Representing the people of Ruhinda North County constituency, Mitoma district, in the 11th Parliament, I'm pleased to mention that we joined the Parliament together. And it's been a pleasure to see him rise through the ranks. First as an ordinary member, just like me, then as government chief whip, and now as my boss, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. But probably I should just mention that in all the years I've worked with him, and actually the word out there is that he's a man very well known for being very objective. He's well known for being very objective, and he's very known for being very action-oriented. Colleagues, now join me in welcoming Right Honorable Taibwa, Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
Thank you for the kind word, Chairman Kefa. He's a very important person. Your survival in the market, probably I won't do much about it, it's him. So you better go with his business card if you want to survive for long. And if anyone is giving you a headache. And colleagues, when I received the call to come and launch Zaabu, just the sounding of the word Zaabu, you know, when you're called to launch money and Obuganga, I mean, how could you, you never know my problems would be sorted. So I said, no, nange kange nung Obuganga. So I didn't sleep last night. I was just thinking about Zaabu. Because personally, I'm a businessman. I believe in businesses. I know the challenges faced by the business community in this country, from regulators to unfair competitive practices to unfair financing, you know, regimes, which are predators, more or less. So when given such an opportunity, I feel I've come back home and share with colleagues in the business sector. I want first of all to congratulate Altx for the win. I was following up on your case. One of the reasons is because your lawyers were my classmates at law school. So we follow each other. And I was glad, I was really, really surprised for the confidence you had in such a young team. Ian and, you know, for such a young team to take on such a well-established institution. Though I knew Mr. Joseph Tamiriki knew where the loopholes were as the former CEO of the regulator. But really the confidence you had in young people contributed a lot in being here today. Because as you know, we are preparing for State of the Nation tomorrow. So this is the busiest time for us as leadership of Parliament. So congratulations on that. I was completing my MBA at Esami when you won. And of course, this is one of the topics we are handling, why we are doing badly in the stock markets here, why we really still have a very, very, very young, I shouldn't even call it young, stunted I should say stunted, because it's been there for long, but it's stunted. Others are already, growing and very big, but for us, we are totally stunted. And these are issues, Chairman, I would like to interest you as the chairperson of the Committee on Finance to look into. Because basically, the stock market should be a side hustle for those who are not able to go and invest on their own. I was reading some time back, there's a time when 66% of Americans had their savings in the stocks. Because you see, what it means is very simple. That there are people who are good at multiplying money. So for you make your little money out of your work, you're good at working, then there are others who are good at helping you to multiply your money. So if I plan to have around 60% of my savings in the stock markets, okay, then that would mean whatever I earn as part of my salary, I'll be getting 60% to give it to someone to multiply, instead of me surviving on savings. And why you usually see these Western world people able to afford holidays and all that, it's because of, of the dividends they are getting from these stock markets. Otherwise, you ask yourself, how can someone go on holiday for a whole year, for a whole month, not working? Someone is working for him or her. But here, for us to be able to earn a side hustle, you must suffer with our, unprincipled human resource. The problem we have with Uganda. Today, when you employ someone, the next thing he does, is not looking at the growth of your business. He's looking at how he can replicate your business. And he doesn't care. Not knowing that if he helped it to grow, then he will grow with it. Now he goes, you have very many stunted businesses. Very many stunted. All of them are down. They are just companies on paper. They don't even file returns. But it's because how busy I am, I get my money, I put up a facility somewhere, I give it someone to run it. He starts now making fake products of my product. He wants to duplicate. So that's the challenge we have. So stocks would be the safest way. Bonds, bills would be the safest way for some of us who are extremely busy. Extremely busy. If I could look at the time I have, and this goes to what we were just discussing the other day, what I was telling people, about work and how we use our time. One person wrote a book and said, if you use around 8 hours of your time to sleep every day, and I think most of us sleep for around 8 hours, isn't it? Yeah, or even beyond. Don't go in Chitamirike's rig. For them, they are in comfort. Now, you use 8 hours of your time to sleep every day, and you happen to live for 60 years, you will have spent 20 years of your time sleeping. Okay? And then, of course, you eat. Every day you use 1 hour for breakfast, 1 hour for lunch, 1 hour for dinner. And you happen to live for 60 years. You will have spent 7.5 years of your time eating. Those are 27.5. Then now, ladies look beautiful. To be a CEO of Smart TV, you have to be smart. So you have to look at yourself every day. Not only looking after, but also looking at. So you have, you do this, the way they apply powder is in phases. You apply in a phased manner. You use like 1 hour every day. If you use 1 hour every day of looking at yourself and you live for 50 years, 60 years, you will have spent 2.5 years looking at yourself. Now add it on to the other one, 30 years is gone. So if 30 years you are engaging in unproductive activities of sleeping, eating, and looking at yourself, not even looking after yourself, because looking after yourself includes exercise and all that, then you're gone. But what is a safe way? If you are working and someone is investing money on your behalf, then you can afford to sleep, you can afford to eat, and you can afford to look at yourself. And that's what, exchange systems like the one of Altx can bring on board. That's what they can. These people are experts. If you told me, Skit America going to look after my money, I know I'm safe because I read about him as a young man when I was still, now I'm 42 years. I'm growing old. Gray hair has come. And the man is still here serving us. So I want to congratulate you on that and congratulate you on launch of Zaabu, because when you look at such systems, especially if they are offline, usually they are very fast. They are speed in terms of settlements. If you've ever invested in bonds or bills, you know the complexities. The complexities here. And also it's like for the high class, and even our high class doesn't invest. Most of them are foreigners. So to me, if we support Zaabu and we support systems like Zaabu, we shall gain in many ways. Number one, financial inclusion, anyone from anywhere. The money we use, just one bottle of Tusker. These guys are allowing you to invest it. A bottle of Tusker Serena is 15,000. These guys are saying, no, you can buy bonds with your 15,000. So for those who drink alcohol, fortunately I don't drink it. For those who drink, if you can cut off just 2 bottles per day and you invest 30,000, that's good money. That's good money. You see, money, the rules on money are simple. If you make 20 shillings and you spend 18, you can never be in trouble because you've saved 2 shillings. You have a saving. Now, problems come when you make 18 and you eat 20. And most of us in Uganda, that's how we survive. And I don't know where we get the extra money. We make 18 shillings, we spend 20. We spend beyond our means. So we have a culture of eating and then saving the balance. But platforms like Zaabu are platforms which can help you to first save before you eat. Us who used to grow up under the environment of Ntanda, where my old woman would pack for me, before they could share food for the family, they would first pick my food to take to school, for lunch tomorrow at school. You don't just eat and then you take the balance. So Zaabu should help us on that, knowing that even the little amount of money, you have a quick platform on how you can use mobile money to pay for beer in a bar or to pay for Uber. You can also use it to invest. And that's very, very important. That's very, very important. Number 2, as a government, it helps us to even trace money. Sorry, I went off because I read my speech, which they had prepared for me. It's not in line with what I know about this topic as a practitioner in business. So I have to pick from. So it helps us to trace money. Financial inclusion. Government, we have a lot of money in circulation, which we cannot trace. So the moment you allow people to invest, then you're able to trace. Now, our tax to GDP ratio, which has been at around 13.2, I think now has gone to around 11 point something, around 12. It's going down. The average in Africa is at 17.2. Now Uganda, we are at 12. So it's because we are not able to trace our money. We are not able to trace the money in the market. People are putting up, you go to Chikuvo, that's where the billionaires are, but how much are they paying in terms of tax? So platforms like Zaabu help us, and if we could push our tax to GDP ratio from around 12 to around 20, then we shall have been able as a government to raise around 9 trillion. They need to borrow. Chairman, who they need to borrow? These figures we are always fighting with. Who they need to borrow? if we could do that. So this helps us a lot. We shall be able to trace money and able to tax our people. Number two, I do believe it will relieve pressure on our shilling, because most of the money invested in our bonds and bills and all that is foreign money. It's dollar denominated. So when we are paying back these people, you know, that's why you said at the end of month or when there is maturity, there is a lot of pressure on the dollar. But now this is money that would be denominated in shillings from the onset, money which would remain here, interest would remain here, so it will relieve pressure on our very own shilling. But then number three, I believe also we are creating a platform whereby the few, you know, the few institutions that have refused to bring rates down because they are the only players, they are the major players in the market of bills and bonds, now will be having competition, other people coming down. Okay? So I think now a bond of 5 years in America is at around 17% per annum. Yeah, so a bond of 5 years is at around 17% per annum. But what is the return of investment in Uganda generally? You'll be shocked. You'll find generally on average in green business is around 8%. But a bond is at that much. But because it's a market for a few, it's a business for a few, they know themselves, it's a cartel, we are stuck with it, so you will face a lot of resistance. Don't think everyone will be happy with the launch of Zaabu. No, some people are going to find very many ways of frustrating Zaabu. So, but I know you're very resilient. I saw when you launched on when the regulator came to frustrate you, I saw how you became resilient, and you're going to end up liberating very many people. Now the regulator has to know. It's always important for the regulator to also know that they are regulated. Yes, it's very, very important. The moment you're a regulator and you think you're the alpha and omega, then you're going to be a problem. And we are facing this as a problem. It's something which the president is also passionate about. It's a very big challenge here. Whenever a regulator doesn't have sufficient knowledge on a certain issue or capacity to assess a certain issue, they kill it instead of developing capacity. Now, what you should do is you can even use regulators from other regions, from other countries to support you to develop capacity. I'm a manufacturer. There is a product I took for testing at UNBS. These guys had never, you know, they didn't have any parameters or what. But I said, but this product is being imported into the country. Okay? There is one who is bringing it, he's calling it a surface disinfectant. Now, for you, you're saying I must call it a general detergent because the parameters for testing you have are for general detergent. But how are you allowing this one in the country? And I took them on. But they won because they are so powerful. So, but I'll ensure that really such, you know, such abuse of authority is worked on. But I also request now that you're in the market, and you were once a regulator, Mr. Joseph. No, you are not in the authority, you are in the exchange. Yes, but you once worked very, very closely with the regulator. I think you go back and repair that relationship so that the regulator can benefit from your expertise. So that the regulator does not look at this as your win, okay, but as an opportunity for them to expand their tentacles, for them to allow new products. I don't know whether we even have blue ocean strategists in this country, because I'm seeing you're moving into the blue ocean. We want to play in the red ocean, where yes, we need blue ocean strategists in this country, and I believe if we can focus even on having around some of them in government, then we shall think beyond the horizon. That's the biggest challenge we have. We have rigidity, our minds are fixed, they are not open. The issue of help you need, I would advise that one, you study these issues properly, analyze if there are conflicts within the laws, then you address them to the Attorney General. And I would be glad if you copy me in, even if it's a blind copy. I will work with Honorable Nabeta on that. I've assigned him that. Just analyze, and laws are living documents. Okay? Those are living documents. So that we give government a chance to study and indeed see a way of correcting these issues. Now here I don't blame the regulator. The regulator is implementing the law. Yes, the regulator is implementing the law. What you call objectionable, that is an opinion. And the regulator cannot go with an opinion. He will go with what is written. So as long as you leave it written and you keep referring to it as objectionable, then you're not moving smart. You have to move, so that some action is taken. So I would urge you to do that. But if they fail, you already see representatives here. You can work with them. You bring a private member's bill. We amend the Capital Markets Authority Act. As long as it doesn't have any conflict with Article 93 of the Constitution, ensuring what you do doesn't have a charge on the consolidated fund. Otherwise, if it has any charge on the consolidated fund, as per our Constitution, it can only be moved by government. So, but the moment, and I would love such a law to be driven by the sector-driven laws, because laws must fit in society, not society fitting in laws. Now, the regulations must fit in society. We must be flexible to have very unique, aspects of our regulations, not our society fitting in regulations. Because those regulations are also from a certain society that is very mature, As long as we have safety concerns addressed and all that, then we should be able to be flexible. I want to thank you once again. And I'm going to be, I think, one of the investors in Zaabu. I love, I see this as a greenfield investment opportunity. So I'll be looking at it. I love investment. That's where my life is. So with this, I don't know how you wanted us to do the part of the launch, but if you could allow, I would say Zaabu is hereby launched. I want to thank you.
We thank Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, Deputy Speaker, once again for launching the golden Zaabu product and for promising to even invest in it. We thank you very, very much indeed. We will have the anthems and then we'll have the photo session outside before our guest of honor can leave. We had missed out some people who even the guest of honor has referred to, MPs we need to refer to, Honorable Moses Aleper, MP of Chekwik County in Nakapitiripi District. Thank you very much for being here with us. We have other dignitaries important to us also here. We have Mr. Fred Obo, one of our lawyers who helped us win that case. Thank you very much, Fred, for the wonderful work. And we also have our board member who was not recognized, Mrs. Miriam Kauma. Thank you very much for being with us, Miriam. We will now have our anthems and then photo session as the guest of honor departs. Uganda, may God uphold thee, our future in thy hands. United, free, for liberty, together we'll all don't know whether I reversed the protocol. Can we do East Africa now? It's too late. Not allowed. Okay, we shall move out after the guest of honor for the